So I'm Brian View, president of FinLocker. We are proud to have partnered with AIME and Brokers Are Better. I first met Anthony Casa as he was launching Brawl, and I was at the time running the TPO business at Flagstar Bank. I understood his mission to help independent mortgage brokers, and I took it upon myself at that point to lead initiatives to help Flagstar better serve brokers. Most recently, I've been working with AIME to help pivot FinLocker, originally built as an enterprise platform, which was best suited for mid to large mortgage companies, to be both functionally and economically available to the independent mortgage broker. Among the many reasons that I invested in and joined FinLocker was I was watching large fintechs and online lenders who were clearly focused on disrupting the local originator. FinLocker is a white-labeled consumer engagement platform that helps the local originator win the fight against these large fintechs. We combine features and functionality that consumers typically would access through apps like Credit Karma, Zillow, and Mint.com, which all have marketplaces behind them where the consumer is ultimately sold as a lead to the highest bidder. Inviting your customer into your instance of FinLocker provides them with many of the benefits these other apps have, but in a super app under your technology stack, and more importantly, under your brand, improving your lead conversion, repeat business, and referrals. With the current health and financial crisis, FinLocker gives you a reason beyond a mortgage transaction to meaningfully engage consumers with a financial health and wellness tool. We also help first-time homebuyers with education, mortgage preparation, and even real estate search. And FinLocker is also a customer-for-life platform useful beyond a mortgage transaction, which provides consumers updates on their home value, overall financial management and organization, as well as document storage and much more. Once enrolled in a FinLocker, the consumer can view their credit report, which includes their score, any monitoring, alerts to changes in their credit profile. FinLocker also securely stores the consumer's financial accounts, providing a single pane of glass to their entire financial life. We provide detailed spending analysis, expense budgeting, and savings goal tools, which are useful during the journey towards home ownership. Consumers are provided access to an extensive library of credit, homeownership, and mortgage education content. And as I mentioned earlier, real estate search is available, providing yet another valuable benefit and keeping the consumer off of Zillow and other search sites. And for your consumers who are already homeowners, they can receive regular updates on the value of their property as well as recently sold homes near theirs. Security is of the utmost concern for us, so we focus heavily on security layers. We have multiple layers of authentication, identity verification. We have third-party audits done by Fiserv and Flagstar, and we have our own SOC 2 Type 2 audit as well. We have multiple patents on the locker, and we've partnered with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Microsoft, as well as consumer housing advocacy groups in order to help first-time homebuyers on their journey to achieve the dream of home ownership. FinLocker is a day one certainty approved vendor by Fannie Mae for asset verification. And we've built a mortgage readiness assessment which perpetually analyzes data in the consumer's locker, providing them transparency on their readiness with respect to credit, income, employment, assets, and even debt to income. The key here is consumers want to control their data, and we make them aware when they become mortgage ready, enabling the mortgage application process to begin. The consumer is always in control and empowered to securely share the data, information, as well as documents from their locker directly with their originator in order to start a mortgage application. FinLocker is reusable and it remains active for consumers beyond a mortgage transaction, which keeps you meaningfully connected to your customer. Consumers can access FinLocker on the desktop as well as mobile, and because FinLocker is a native app, you become part of your customer's financial life directly connected to their phone. So again, we know large fintechs continue to invest and their focus is on disintermediating the local originator and real estate professional. We believe originators can win the fight by leveraging your expertise, your knowledge, and your local relationships with state-of-the-art consumer-facing technology like FinLocker. So I'm going to jump over real quick to a couple of demo sites for you. So give me a second here, pull those up. So first thing I want to show you is a branded locker. This is branded in the name of One Mortgage. And then let me just close this out. This one has not been set up yet. So when we set up a FinLocker under your company, under your brand, the upper left is where the brand and logo is. The color scheme is yours to choose. And then we also load in the individual loan officer in the locker. So consumers in their locker are going to see your company brand as well as you as the individual originator. And then when I go into this other environment for the demo, I'll show you some of the other functionality. You can see here this tab, or this widget rather, is our offers widget. So you control this widget and the content that goes in here, as well as this blog area. So let's jump into our live locker. So I just jumped into a different environment. You can see here, we're looking at now, it's my ACME Bank. This is me as the loan officer in here. And this is the consumer's dashboard on their desktop. As I mentioned, we're also on mobile, and we are native to iOS as well as Android. It's just easier to demo out of this desktop view. So once the consumer has set up their locker, which the enrollment process literally takes less than 5 minutes, they have access to this dashboard and all of these widgets. When they come into their locker, we'll just jump back here. You can see these widgets are blank when they first log in, when the consumer first logs in, and then they start to activate each widget. Typically, the consumer's first couple things they'll do is enroll for credit. We have a 90-second identity verification process that happens. Then once that's done, credit is enabled and this widget becomes active. So on their dashboard, they'll see their credit score. This is a Vantage Score 3.0 that we pull in. It updates once per month. From here, the consumer can drill in and actually see their entire credit report. They can drill into specific accounts, see activity in that account. You can see we have some content to the right on education materials for credit. Over to the left here, any alerts that may show up for this particular consumer's credit report would show up here in the widget. They'd also show up as a notification, either in-app if they have their app notifications on, or via email if that's their notification method that they've chosen when they set up their profile. In our next build, we're adding a link that'll show up right where I'm hovering over, which will allow consumers to click and opt out for credit triggers. This was a direct request from the folks at AIME to enable the ability for consumers to opt out of credit triggers from this locker. So that's a coming soon feature. Going back to the dashboard, once consumers have enrolled credit, the locker takes them through a journey to complete their enrollment, and that next step in the journey is enrolling financial accounts. So I'm going to click this widget here where all of our accounts are, and you're going to see this particular consumer has enrolled a few asset accounts, checking and savings, money market, some liability accounts, including a mortgage and some credit cards. And then to the right is all the transactional data behind these accounts. A couple things to point out. When a consumer enrolls and adds an account, it's as simple as type in Flagstar, that's where I bank. So Flagstar online banking, I would enter my credentials, click login. Immediately I would get a text and a modal would open up. I would key in the 5 or 6 digit multi-factor code that was texted to me, and then my Flagstar account would show up here in this column, and then the transactional data in that account, or those accounts, if I have multiple accounts with Flagstar, which I do, would all show up under here. Our aggregation partner with FinLocker is a company called Fiserv. Fiserv powers about 40% of the banking of the banks across the country, and that helps us in data aggregation. About 30% of the financial accounts that we're able to enroll in FinLocker, we're able to bring in 24 months of transactional data on initial enrollment. Another 40% of the accounts that are enrolled bring in about 12 months of data. And then the balance, which are typically your smaller credit unions and community banks, bring in 90 to 120 days. Where that's important is back to the dashboard, powering 2 additional widgets that become available for the consumer once they've enrolled their financial accounts. The first one is the spending widget. So I'll click in here for you. So if upon initial enrollment, we're bringing in up to 24 months of data, the locker categorizes the transactional data and kind of powers up this spending analysis. So I can go back and look now, back 24 months and pick a month and look at my spending for that month. Or I can let's just look at February because it's a full month that we had in here. So I can go back and look at February, and from here, I can either click a ring on this donut or one of these lines in this table below to drill further into a specific category. So I'm going to click into food and dining, and what's happening here to the right is the locker is now sorting by all the transactions for the month of February that came under food and dining. And you can see we also had some budgets that showed up now above here. So as a user, this consumer set up budgets for food and dining, and then they're being tracked in real time in the locker for the consumer. Go back to the dashboard and show you the next widget that is powered by that financial data, and that's the budgets and goals widget. So from here, again, I'm going to click into the widget and show you that there'll be a handful of budgets that have already been set up, including income. So the consumer, when they're setting up their profile, is asked a set of questions around their income that populates here, and then they can set up specific spending budgets. Setting up a budget is very simple. I'm not going to go through that entire process. There's a wizard here that takes the consumer through it. They can name the budget, select the category that they want that budget to fall under. They can further drill down and itemize it deeper, and then finally link that budget to any accounts where they're going to have spending that's going to fall into that category. So they can link all of their accounts, one account, et cetera. And then once they've done that, that budget shows up and begins to track for the consumer in the locker. They'll get notifications from time to time on how they're doing against those active budgets. I do want to point out that we've built a new budget template that will be available in 3 weeks for users of FinLocker, and it's built based on the HUD-approved mortgage budget. So we partnered with Freddie Mac as well as some housing counseling agencies to leverage the HUD-approved budget. And now when consumers log in, they'll have this budget widget, which lets them set up individual budgets, but then they'll also have a detailed mortgage budget that is auto-populated for them upon enrolling accounts. So taking a lot of the work away from the consumer when they're coming in. And then that budget will be shareable with the originator, with a counselor, a credit coach, a housing coach, et cetera. You can see we have a few goals that have been set up as well. Again, the same wizard that you saw for budgets, they can create a savings goal for a new home, for a college fund, for a car. I've been doing some demos for some servicers around forbearance. And so we've demoed how consumers, if they're able to save money in their budget, perhaps they're able to save some money for a forbearance balance that will be coming due towards the end of their forbearance period. Let me go back to the dashboard real quick for you. A couple other widgets that are available for consumers. Every widget you see here is available under our FinLocker and Brokers Are Better agreement. So these are all going to be activated for you under your instance of FinLocker. So consumers who are already homeowners, as I mentioned, can enroll their property address, and then we bring in quarterly values from an ABM through CoreLogic, and then on a weekly basis we update the recently sold properties. You can see here we have an enrolled mortgage in our locker. So that now is also, in addition to showing in the accounts widget, it's showing here under this property because it's been linked to this property. And now we're presenting to the consumer an estimated available equity in their property based on their ABM and their outstanding mortgage balance. What's cool here is this is not reading the balance from their credit report. It's reading it in real time from their enrolled mortgage in the locker. So as they make a payment, the next day, this will be updated with the current balance. A coming soon feature, I'll show you here since it's in our demo. You see these little silhouettes. We're building an AI experience. We call it a digital financial assistant. and that's in partnership with Microsoft. And then throughout various parts of the locker, once we've activated this digital assistant will engage with the consumer in their locker when the locker notices things that may be of interest. Like here, the locker knows that the consumer has equity of $243,000, and also has credit card debt of over $50,000, and is now asking if they're interested in a debt consolidation or a cash out refi. This is probably Q3, Q4 when this becomes live in the locker. We're in testing right now. Going back to the dashboard, we also have real estate search. So consumers who are, again, on that first-time home buyer journey can actually do their real estate search here in the locker. Show you that real quick. We partner with a company called Nest Ready. Nest Ready powers the search for us. So we are basically I-framed in the Nest Ready experience here in the locker. And now, apologize for the slow internet, but it is crawling here. Here we go. I'm going to put in my zip code here in Michigan. And then I can, as a user, I can select search criteria and save those filtered criteria, and then see any properties that meet that criteria. What's cool here is when you drill into one of these property listings, your logo would be up here inside this experience, and then the originator who's tied to this locker will also be here. Eric's one of our FinLocker employees, so we just haven't mapped this locker to the Nest Ready platform yet. But this would be the same LO who we saw in the dashboard would be linked here. So everywhere the consumer goes in this locker, everything ties and tags back to your company and you specifically as a loan officer. I mentioned we've got some panels that are customizable or able to be branded and used for you guys specifically. This rotating offer widget is your real estate. You can have up to 3 unique messages or offers that are in here. You would create those and bring those in through the admin portal of FinLocker. And then you can also customize the call to action button. Right now, they all say, I'm interested. These could be learn more, apply now, contact me, whatever you want that to be. And then we can link it to a destination, whether it's your web page, a landing page that's product specific, your email, or in the case of the way we have this configured here, this is another way for a consumer to start a mortgage application from the locker. So let me show you that real quick. So as a user, I'm clicking into the call to action from the offer widget. Again, super slow internet here in Novi, Michigan. Apologize for that. Come on. We'll go back and try to trick it over here real quick. Gotta like live demos, guys. Fun stuff. Well, while that's trying to get itself going again, let me show you some of the ways that some of our clients are marketing FinLocker and exposing FinLocker to their prospects and customers. So one way is just through an email campaign. This is an example of an email campaign that includes a call to action that would take the user to the specific sign-in page or landing page rather for the client. In this case, this is an example of a landing page that we built for Lund Mortgage. And so we've got information on FinLocker. This is all consumer facing. So information on FinLocker, a short video behind this call to action, kind of the features and benefits, and then 2 spots in the locker where the consumer would click in and then get to the sign up page and begin the enrollment process to sign up for their Lund Mortgage FinLocker. So this is going to, trust me, get to the sign-on page. Let me flip over to the next one and show you what Lund has done is they're a LeadPops website client. And so we've also partnered with LeadPops, and under the free tools drop down with lead pops, FinLocker is under mortgage readiness. And so when I click into this mortgage readiness, it comes to a similar looking landing page. And this is the lead pops version of the FinLocker landing page that they've built for all of their clients who are FinLocker clients. Same thing, call to action drives the consumer to the same destination, which is this One Mortgage sign-up page where the consumer would start the enrollment process with FinLocker. It's literally a 90-second process. A couple other website or landing pages I'll show you. This is an example of some branding that one of our broker clients did. They wanted to call the product the Omega Vault, powered by FinLocker, so we helped them create a logo for that. We also partnered with Chris Griffith and Vetted VA, and they called the product the Go Bag. So it's all the same FinLocker product, but it's been branded, and the product has been named by these institutions for their own use. And then finally, just showing you what Omega Lending, which is a broker here in Michigan, they actually have built their own landing page to drive their clients to the FinLocker experience. So just a couple quick examples on how to drive consumers to the specific, your specific locker environment. I want to get back to the sharing because it actually is pretty cool. Maybe I'll close some of these out. So again, I'm going to click through this call to action. The locker is now beginning the data sharing and document sharing process for the consumer. This would default to your company name. Based on the profile that the consumer set up, we've got a few click-throughs that they're confirming. So they're confirming that the reason for the sharing is for a home loan, but we've also configured for other products based on our customer. So we're clicking through here. In that profile, they told us they were looking to purchase a single-family home. They could change that here if they want to. The loan amount was something we asked. We asked them in their goal section when they were setting up their locker how much of a loan they were looking to acquire. That's this number here. They could change that as well. And then the same with their income. We've asked their income upon enrollment. Here we asked them to verify that income, and they click through. If this particular locker owner is going to be applying with a co-borrower, they can add that co-borrower here. Otherwise, they click into the sharing screen. We default them to a kind of a standard mortgage document checklist. And in this sharing screen, the consumer is going to be able to share data and documents with you as the loan officer. I'll show you how that happens here. So these first sections, assets and liabilities, represent the accounts that the consumer has enrolled in their locker. So this is the point in time where the consumer is enabling you as the originator to have access to certain elements of their locker. In this case, we're combining the asset data from these enrolled accounts with profile data that the consumers provided as they completed their enrollment. And then that data is being converted into a NISMO 3.4 and a Fannie 3.2 file that will be available for you on the back end of this sharing. I'll show you that in a second. The consumer also, through documents that they've either stored in the locker, and they may have stored documents based on coaching that you've given them along the way. So tax returns as an example. You can see I've got some loss mitigation documents. Again, I've been demoing for some servicers as well. But this is where the consumer can add additional documents at this time based on that checklist. And then if they've been coached and advised that they're going to need updated pay stubs, maybe they've kept their pay stubs updated every month, and those are here as well. And now when I click continue, I'm going to get as the user, I'm getting a view of what I am agreeing to share. And now I'm going to click the consent acknowledgement statement. And what's going to happen here is the loan officer associated with this locker, which in this case is me, is going to get an instant email from FinLocker advising that one of your customers has shared information in order to start a mortgage application. And with any luck, it'll hit my inbox here, and I'll show you what that looks like. Just a quick email. That email has a link that you would click into, and then you'll be given a set of login credentials to the admin portal of FinLocker. Through that link, you would log in using those credentials and be able to grab the PDF. There's the email just came through. You'd grab the zip file PDF that we pushed over, as well as the MISMO 3.2 file, and then you can drag that into your loan origination or POS process to begin the mortgage application. Last thing I'll show you, two things I'll show you in the dashboard before we go back to the deck and open it up for questions. I mentioned an education library. So in this library, a consumer has access to content from HUD, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae down the left, as well as over 140 professionally produced with a compliance and legal review mortgage and homeownership content. So these are 45 seconds to 2.5 minutes long, short videos that provide the consumer with information at their fingertips relative to the mortgage process. I'm going to show you another spot where these are served up kind of as part of a readiness assessment. So here is our mortgage readiness assessment. What this is doing is analyzing the data in the consumer's locker once they've completed their profile, enrolled credit, and at least one asset account. This assessment now is reading against a rules engine in our admin portal. Today we default to Fannie Freddie FHA VA guidelines. And here, and this is consumer facing, so they're able to see this. Green checks are obviously good. So we've analyzed their credit report that's in the locker and confirmed no bankruptcies, no foreclosures, no lates. But now you can see we're missing a green check mark here for debt to income, and most consumers will have no idea what debt to income is. This is where we serve up a specific video that explains debt to income, how it's calculated, and why it's important. And then furthermore, sorry, I don't have my speaker on. Furthermore, they can click this budgeting and see how they can actually manage their debt to income by setting up specific budgets in their locker. All right, let me pause here before we jump back into the deck real quick and just open it up for any questions you guys may have. And you're all muted, so if you want to ask a question, you have to come off mute to do that. All right. Let's go back to our presentation deck. Oh, looks like somebody's got a question. Neil, is that you?
Yeah, I did have a quick question. Thanks. I was wondering on the real estate portion, can you plug in a preferred agent or have a couple of those? Great
question, and one that today we're not configured for that. That is something we've been working with Nest Ready on to build the ability for originators to add, their preferred partners in there. That does not exist today.
Okay. One follow-up.
And I should also mention. Yep, I should also mention real quick on that real estate widget. That is one of the widgets that is configurable. So we have some clients that prefer not to have that widget activated. So we can turn that on or off when we set you up. It's an option that you have.
Great. The first-time home buyer, you said presentations are available as well. They're done by you guys. Is that correct?
The videos?
All right. Well, I saw the videos and it looks like short videos, maybe under a minute, but you have first-time home buyer seminar types of slideshows that consumers or originators can use in those types of workshops?
We don't have presentations per se. What is available, let me just pivot back over here and just show you real quick in the education tab. We do have a link out to, as an example, Freddie Mac's Credit Smart tutorial They've got some links that are specific for first-time home buyers. But if you were to fire into this Freddie Mac Credit Smart tutorial, consumers could sign up in that from the locker and enroll in that and go through their program, which results in a certificate on the back end that they could share with you on the as your originator, or just store in the locker. Freddie does require that on certain products, so it's a value add if they do have that done. But we don't have first-time home buyer presentations per se.
Okay.
One of the enhancements that our team's working on is actually building a curriculum from this library of videos as well as the content that we link to. And as a consumer sets up their locker, they'll be identified as a specific persona, like a first-time home buyer. And then based on that persona, they'll be given a curriculum of content that would be useful for them as they make their way through that first-time home buyer journey.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on the demo? Great. Let me go through real quick for you how we've structured this from a contractual and pricing perspective. So as I mentioned in the opening slides, we reconfigured FinLocker from what was an enterprise platform. This was originally built really for larger mortgage companies, banks, and credit unions as, like I said, an enterprise platform. And when I joined, one of the things we started focusing on was pivoting the platform so that it could be readily available for use with individual loan officers. So as part of that, we built a pricing plan for LOs. So we have, essentially there's 3 price components, and we're going to send this to you after the presentation as well. There's 3 pricing components. There's a nominal sign-on fee of $200, so one-time sign-on fee that allows us to get the lockers all set up. And then there's a monthly license fee of $175. That license fee of $175 allows you to have up to 125 active lockers. So you can have up to 125 of your prospects and or clients in an active locker for that license fee. For those that need a higher count, for an additional $50, you can add 30 lockers. So you can increase your license fee by $50 above the 175 and add 30 increments of lockers. And then lastly, when a consumer shares from their locker in order to start a mortgage application, we have a $125 assessment fee or a transaction fee for that. The way we've modeled it out is if you had 125 consumers in lockers, and let's just say 5% of those converted, into a mortgage loan, so that'd be about 6 loans, your total annual cost would be $3,050. And when I modeled it out, I assumed a revenue of about 150 basis points on an average loan amount of $235,000, and I think the gross revenue came out to something like $22,000 or $23,000. So literally one closed loan covers the cost of having FinLocker available for you to use with your prospects and clients. And then secondly, on the contract side, we have the ability for an individual LO to sign up, but we do require the brokerage sign our master services agreement, which does not have any associated cost to it. The LO is billed directly, but the MSA really covers the logo and the branding, and then all of the consumer privacy legalese that goes with our platform. So that's the contract and pricing model in a nutshell. Getting set up is very simple. Literally in 5 business days from executing our agreement, we can have your instance, your branded version of FinLocker set up, have you onboarded, trained, and ready to invite your prospects and clients into your FinLocker. So that was a lot of the work that we've done for the last 6 to 8 months was getting ourselves set up to be able to enable this down to individual loan officers. So that's it, guys. I try to go as fast as I can to not take up your entire hour, but happy to answer any additional questions you have. Like I said, we're going to send you some information following this presentation, and hope to engage with many of you on your instance of FinLocker. Give it a second. If anyone has questions, you can unmute. Otherwise, we will put a wrap on this for the day. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining, and we will hopefully talk very soon. Thank you.